What's up, nerds? What's going on? Oh, hat. Welcome back. How we doing? Happy Wednesday. What's going on, folks? Welcome back, everybody in the chat, to the combat show footage with Stuff and Ronnie. Still don't know what we call it, but maybe one day we will. I do know, though, that you need to tap on the like button. Let me know in the chat where you're chiming in from. I appreciate it very much. We're gonna have a little bit of fun to start the stream tonight. Well, we're gonna talk about something very serious first, and then we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Whether or not it's purposeful fun, that's entirely up to you. Hit the like button. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Before we get too far down into the fun that we're, and it's to some extent fun. It's about as much fun as you can have under the circumstances. I got to take a second to thank our sponsor and our partner, right? There's a difference between just a sponsor, difference between a sponsor and a partner. But our sponsor and partner, AR500, or more accurately, Armored Republic. Armored Republic is actually, I'm a huge fan personally. Myself and my wife, we both have plate carriers with plates. We each actually run Armored Republic plates in our plate carrier. I run the C2, which is ceramic. She runs the new A3. Any armor that you guys are interested in, whether it be soft armor, backpack armor, polyethylene, ceramics, steel, if you're into steel armor, they've got all of it available. They even have an armor knowledge base, which is really awesome. Check this out. Their armor knowledge base walks you through the difference in, all the different armor types, its advantages, pros versus cons. And we're going to watch a message from Armored Republic. It's going to get a little bit into a serious note, but I absolutely love this message. It represents the values that I'd hope to see in a company like this. So I want to go through this. I think you're going to love it. It'll help put you in touch with where their minds are in today's day and age. Coming up for you guys right now. And then we got a lot to talk about. We'll get there in just a second. I was muted, but I fixed it. I'm a big fan of Armored Republic. Once again, drop a comment. Let me know you guys are here. Hit the like button for me. We're going to talk about Kherson, but we'll get there. Hey, do me a favor though. I do have one thing that I gotta ask. Please use English in the chat. If I'm too stupid to fully understand the English language, imagine me trying to understand somebody else's language. Donbass. Come on, help me out here. Let's talk about Kherson. We're gonna kick things right off with essentially one of the biggest announcements that, and ironically, a 180-degree reversal from the title on last Monday's stream. Russia has officially announced that they are withdrawing from Kherson. You call it a retreat, you call it a withdrawal, you can call it a tactical repositioning, an unassing of that location. But it is official. Russia themselves have announced it, and we're going to watch a translated version of that right now. Russian Defense Minister Shoigu specifically agreed with, supposedly, sort of, and you'll understand what I mean when you watch this video, the requests to withdraw across the river. Now, while you watch this, let me just make sure I'm showing you the right one, because we got two versions of this. Yeah, this is the right one. We're going to watch the shortened version coming up for you. When you watch this, tell me if it seems weird.
Приступайте к отводу войск и примите все меры, чтобы обеспечить безопасную переброску личного состава, вооружения и техники за реку Днепр.
Есть. Маневр войск будет осуществлен в ближайшие сроки. Соединение части займут подготовленные в инженерном отношении оборонительные рубежи и позиции на левом берегу реки Днепр.
Приступайте к
You guys ever seen Anchorman? I feel like if somebody would have put a question mark in the teleprompter, he would have said something akin to "Go f*** yourself, San Diego." That's what's interesting and weird to me about that is how very scripted that looks. Right now, I have a different perspective video for this that we're going to watch that appears to have been dubbed with withdrawing Russian troops, right? At just to help provide a little bit of context to how fast this is actually happening. Check this out.
Приступайте к отводу войск.
Есть. Маневр войск будет осуществлен в ближайшие сроки.
Приступайте к отводу войск.
Есть. Маневр войск будет осуществлен в ближайшие сроки.
Приступ...
I'm not sorry. Call it what it is, but I'm not sorry. But check this out. So, what a lot of people are talking about right now is whether or not this could be some form of a trap. You know, there are Ukrainian accounts that are essentially reporting that they see no indication of Russia retreating. In fact, Russia is blowing bridges on their way out, essentially hoping to slow the exploitation phase of, you know, theoretically what Ukraine would take advantage of on retreating or withdrawing forces. The exploitation phase is essentially chasing after them and shooting them as they leave, just to, you know, bring that full circle for you. And we do have some imagery of some of those bridges that are being taken out. First, I'm going to show you a general picture of some of the bridges that are being removed. Coming up for you guys here right now. So note, these are all on what I would call MSRs, major supply routes. And as Russia withdraws to the left bank or the east bank here, they're attempting to slow any potential, you know, at the time, Ukrainian progress. We're going to see quite a few videos tonight of Ukrainians taking different areas. Now, this bridge here, we actually have an image of, and we're going to take a look at that. And we also have the first images of Ukrainians crossing that bridge, which is some really wild footage to watch. Let's take a look at that northernmost bridge here. F11. Here you go. Here is one of those bridges that they're taking out. Looks like it'd be extremely difficult to ford that passage around that one where on one side or the other. Definitely wouldn't be able to get a Leda and just launch it off of that Dukes of Hazzard style. Definitely not a possibility. For just a bridge location reference here, I wanted to show you guys this. And this is happening kind of all up and down Kherson Oblast right now. Here's a location of a few of those bridges. This one looks interesting. Now, I wanted to show you guys some exclusive footage. This is a Funker 530 exclusive that you can't get anywhere else. Of Russians actually crossing, or excuse me, Ukrainians actually crossing these blown out bridges. Coming up for you guys right now.
Too late now.
We did it! We did it!
You saw it here first. Okay? You saw it here first. Now, what's interesting about this is how, and Funker and I were talking about it earlier, Russia's defensive posture that they end up setting up after this. And I'm going to pull up. Let's flip over to a serious note here. I'm going to flip over to the Institute for the Study of War. We're going to take a look at the campaign map here and talk about where Russia is essentially realigning their combat power, withdrawing, where their new, more advantageous positions are being set up. So effectively, what the order was is to withdraw all Russian troops from the right bank. Just to help you understand, while it's the left side of the river when we're looking at this, left and right bank is always identified based on facing downstream. Now, because the Dnipro is essentially flowing this way, kind of towards the southwest, this would be your right bank to the north. And to the south would be your left bank, or west bank and east bank. So the right bank has been ordered to essentially unass its location. And what that ultimately is going to do is establish a precedent for Russia to be able to attempt to really maintain control of the land bridge. The land bridge is something that we have talked about for months and months and months now, and was a stated and major priority for Russia. They effectively want to have this bridge that connects the Donbass with Crimea. And by them using a water feature, a major geographical feature like the Dnipro, that's going to provide them a lot of capability to set up a defensive posture here. Fording that is going to be extremely difficult. We all know what Ukraine has done to the Antonovsky Bridge, but as well as the pontoon bridges next to it. So Ukraine is almost to an extent kind of taken away some of their capability to come across the Dnipro. Ronnie, what that hair doing? I don't know. Ask my barber. He went a little crazy with it. All right, let's bring this back up, and I want to take a look at some footage, actually, from Kherson. The first thing that we've got coming up, I don't have a translated version of this. Just imagine that he's saying something like, I don't know, I'm a bot. Here you go. This is Russian propagandist Sasha Kots on his departure from Kherson over the ferry. Note that he is taking the ferry, and you'll see why at a certain point in the video, but I'll pause it and we'll talk about it.
К тому моменту, когда вы смотрите это видео, новости уже объявлены. Я сейчас, снимая этот клип, не знаю, что случится через несколько часов. Просто очень многие люди посоветовали выехать из Херсона на левый берег как можно скорее. Что мы и делаем.
Stand by. All right, this is what I wanted to take note of here. This is what Ukraine has been essentially spending a lot of their time doing, is removing Russia's ability to continue to supply its forward line. This is that pontoon bridge. No, I don't want to look at your stupid face. I want to look at the pontoon bridge. So this is that pontoon bridge that everybody had talked about, continuing to get hit, and it did. The HIMARS continued to kind of remove that as an opportunity for a backup to the Antonovsky Bridge, which is here. As Ukraine continues to use precision-guided munitions to remove Russia's ability to, run logistics, run supply, beans, bullets, etc., to the front, Russia ultimately had to make a call here. And the call that they made was, from a strategy perspective, the right one. There's absolutely no chance that they would have been able to hold the right bank of Kherson Oblast for long, if at all. So from a strategy perspective, that this absolutely needed to happen, and it's by design. So, one has to credit Ukraine with ultimately making this happen, setting conditions for this for a long time. If I had to make a guess on what happens next, I think this turns into a very static front, Kherson, and I think we begin to see the focus move to driving a wedge between Donbass and Crimea in Zaporizhzia. Right? There's a lot of activity that's happening, and this map is a little outdated. There's actually quite a bit of this red ground that's now taken already. We're going to see some footage of that here in a little bit. But there's still a lot of activity happening on the Svatove and Kreminna line. We're going to see a lot of Svatove footage tonight. But I think a major emphasis or focus area is going to be Zaporizhzia. Driving a wedge through that land bridge between Crimea and Donbass. All right, coming back up. Some more footage coming out of Kherson. As some of the villages continue to fall, we're going to see. That's the wrong button. We're gonna see lots of, Ukrainian flags flying, things like that. This is from, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Dudchany in the Kherson region. Now there's also, these are a dime a dozen right now as Ukraine kind of makes that incremental progress and moves forward to retake that ground that Russia had been. Hey, there's a washing machine. Can't believe they left that behind. Sorry. I hadn't seen that part of the video yet.
Это была большая кацапская столовая.
The nuke plant complicates that attack route, not necessarily. Right, that would actually be one of the reasons to have a major push there, is to recover that. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. All right, coming back up here. Now, there's another major note that I wanted to speak to tonight, and that starts to get back into what we talked about a couple streams ago, and that's Iran. So a couple streams ago, we talked about the provision of arms from Iran to Russia. Well, very recently, Iranian news publicly reported that Russian National Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev, he arrived in Tehran on November 8th, and what's interesting about this is the public announcement from Iran, because to a certain extent, that is Iran essentially chasing Russia clout. And I got to tell you, I don't think that's the clout that you want right now. But from Iran's perspective, and it's more than likely what he's there for, is to negotiate additional arms sales. I mean, Ukraine reported that on August 20th, Russia transferred something to the tune of 140 million euros along with U.S. Stingers, Javelins, and British NLAWs in return for Shahed drones. So that is going to continue to happen. There's also reports of Russia trying to circumvent a lot of the economic sanctions by using things like cryptocurrency. I can't validate any of that stuff. But it is somewhat notable that somebody from a relatively high place in Russia government would visit Tehran directly to, again, more than likely negotiate arms deals. So the Tehran-Moscow relationship is only continuing to deepen. Checking in on the chat and on the support that's flowing in from you guys. Thanks very much for being here. Hit the like button for us. It's a free way to support the stream. Drop a comment. Let me know where you are. I think we were laughing and joking a little bit earlier on, so I didn't catch where everybody's chiming in from, but we are an international audience. We are an international community, I should say. And it's so awesome seeing where everybody's coming from. Eagle Spurch, thanks for the $5. So Chick-fil-A is correct. Cows are the enemy. It's the that was okay. Mayo, thanks for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Speaking of members, we did a post on the community page, guys, just to remind everybody that if you're welcome to maintain your YouTube membership over here, but we would also urge you to consider a Funker Premium account, a Pro account. That supports us 100% directly, unlike membership here, which ultimately is going to pay Google 30% of your support to us. What's up from Mexico? Welcome in, everybody. Let's turn some music on. Ronnie with the gold gun. That's me, dude. I've been chasing those gold guns. Southern Alberta, welcome in. Norway. Michigan, welcome in Michigan. Smithers, British Columbia. The washing machine got me. Yep, absolutely. A mohawk you have. It wasn't supposed to be a mohawk, but he just got a little enthusiastic with the cut, man. It's supposed to be a fade and then a blend on this side, but hair grows back. I'm not worried about it. You at the expo this weekend? Guns out, what's up? No, unfortunately not. I got to run a 5K with my daughter. So I was supposed to go to the expo, and specifically he's speaking to the US CCA expo. And I was supposed to go, but I had signed up for a 5K with my daughter, and she's an absolute monster. And I'm going to be attending that instead. But I was supposed to be there. Anyway, let's move on to some of the next stuff that we've got. We're going to move right into the east. We're going to be talking a little bit about Ukraine in the east, what's happening there. Once again, kind of just cutting down the middle, showing you the footage that I've got. Not necessarily more of one than the other. Sometimes we do have more Russia perspective footage than Ukraine perspective footage, just based on what we find. The very first one that we've got is a Russian convoy near Pavlivka, which is in Donetsk, getting hit, and Russian survivors of what appeared to be indirect, scrambling for cover. About a 45-second video. No sound to this one. Hell yeah. Guys, if you're not familiar with Guns Out TV, please go check out all the work that they're doing. They were kind enough to invite me to their range day. You guys saw the Guns Out TV shirt, and Sherm and John, awesome people. Hello from North Idaho. Thanks for the $2, that one guy. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for the 557. Tony here from the UK. Love the channel. I love you. A lot. Will they ever get ATACMS? And would that make a massive difference to the speed of the war? Great content. Yes, it would. Whether or not they would receive ATACMS is really a loaded question. We've been talking about ATACMS, and if you're not familiar with ATACMS, it's the Army Tactical Missile System. What it essentially does is drastically increases the range of the HIMARS. It does reduce the capacity of total onboard munitions, but it is a major increase in capability, technically a nuclear capability. ATACMS would quite rapidly change the face of Ukraine's response. They would have the ability to hit with a circular error probable of down somewhere around the 10 meters. So with 10-meter accuracy, which is insanely accurate, out to somewhere around like 300 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a little while since we talked about ATACMS, a couple months. Whether or not that'll end up being provided is still a question. It was talked about quite a bit more a few months ago. What they have currently for the HIMARS is GMLRS, which in and of itself is extremely capable. I think it's difficult for anybody to say that the face of Russia's invasion hasn't been changed since the introduction of precision-guided munitions from the West. So adding kind of the tip of that spear, it's really difficult to say that wouldn't have a major effect. Again, not to toot our own horns here, but we were adamant that HIMARS was going to be a major change, a major capability increase, even just 4 of them. Having the ability to pinprick wherever you wanted to in Russia's back pocket, it was absolutely going to be a game changer. Just checking in on the chat here. Welcome, RS5. I see you out there. North Texas, near the Choctaw Nation. MG Texan, I see you. Just got in. Welcome in, guys. How we doing? Illinois here. Mud wrestling is just dirty. Well, don't tease me with a good time. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but, at this point, I'm starting to become interested. How the F does Russia have our Stingers and Javelins? So Russia has captured some of that stuff. Ukraine is not just without consequence steamrolling Russia. That's important to always. It's important to always take Ukraine's very effective use of social media with a grain of salt. Ukraine has taken a lot of casualties. They have taken a lot of equipment losses, right? From a scale perspective, from a relative perspective, Russia's taken a lot more, just quite simply, But there have still been caches captured by Russia that included NLAWs, that included Stingers, included Javelins. Maryland here. All right, let's move on. We're going to be right back at Pavlivka with some more footage, this time of a Russian tank being what Will calls double stuffed by a Ukrainian tank. Will blogged this one, and the double stuffed got me. Copyright music. All right, coming back up. Brian, thanks for the 530. Rockin' Ronnie. Thanks, man. Let me see if I missed any of these so far tonight. No, I haven't. Let me check them off, or else my dumb brain isn't going to remember to do that. My ex, okay. All right, let's keep moving. We've got more from Pavlivka. As a matter of fact, let's pull the ISW's map back up for those that are just joining us, so you can see exactly where we're focused right now. And Pavlivka. There are 2 Pavlivkas in Ukraine, and it always finds the one in the west rather than the one in the east. Oh, stand by. Here, I'll let you see what I'm doing. Pavlivka. One of these days we're gonna make it through an entire stream without any issues like this. I'm going to just show you the map, show you the east. That way, for those that don't know where, even Donbass is, I was having a conversation with a buddy in the army, and he just, we're focused here in the east, right in the Bakhmut area. We're going to see some footage. We're going to see some footage tonight from Svatove. But you'd be surprised how few people just can point to Ukraine on a map. right? Now, I'm not the best with individual cities, and in fact, you know, there are a lot of duplicate city names in Ukraine and in everywhere. I mean, we've got a Paris in Virginia. Agwood, thanks for the 20. Coming at you from Medellin, Colombia. 25-year Air Force vet. CSAR Logistics. Love the show, Ronnie, and the Chill 5. Thanks, dude. Appreciate that, man. You know, we try not to take ourselves too serious here. We're just guys that review footage. Not perfect. We have our own personal biases. The platform itself is designed to be as non-biased as possible. We just share the footage that we find. I myself, as an individual, as a person, as a human being, have a bias, right? Everybody does. If you don't, you're being an idiot. You're being an idiot. Just quite honest with you. Just you have one. There's a Moscow in Michigan. Yeah, see what I'm talking about. So I'm not the best when it comes to individual towns, you know, inside of the oblasts, inside of or outside of the you know, major provincial capitals. There's a New York. Just checking in on the chat here. Like your shirt. I like you. If you're wondering about this shirt, this is from our good friends over at ASM DSS. I don't know why I'm not listening to music here. This is from our good friends at ASM DSS. We have a historical relationship going back with them for a long time. Love their stuff. Been watching it, you know, now being a part of the Funker team, it's awesome. Getting to meet some really cool people. There's a New York in Ukraine? No. There is. Oh, it's a New York street. Well, it's keying in on something, but not what you think. I'll have to look into that. All right, let's keep moving on the footage. I'm getting sidetracked. All right. Pavlivka. Still in the east here. Next video coming up for you. This is a Russian drone taking out a moving BM-21 Grad. The BM-21 Grad is one of those systems that is just on full display right now. And has been since February. Both sides use this thing. It is not by any means an accurate weapon system. You know, and if there weren't people in it, the more of these that get removed from the battlefield, in my mind, the better. You know, it just kind of generally sends a whole salvo of rockets in that direction in the hopes that it hits something. I don't even know what the CEP on this thing would be. 1,000 meters? It's probably not. It's probably better than that. It's still not a very accurate weapon system. But this is a Ukrainian BM-21 Grad that is moving, getting hit by probably a Lancet. All right, coming back up. The next one we've got is some HIMARS strikes landing somewhere in Donetsk in the east. These are Ukrainian HIMARS strikes.
Ой-ой-ой. Ой-ой-ой. Ой-ой-ой.
All right. just kind of repeats over and over and over again. Coming up. Now, I wanted to share this one. This one isn't necessarily combat footage, so it's not on the site. But it does show the Svatove Roads. Now, everybody should understand at this point that Ukraine, former Soviet bloc country, a lot of the infrastructure is built, during Soviet times, and a lot of these very small towns probably haven't really been looked at in a while. So all of these roads, imagine infrastructure supporting the size and breadth and scale of a Russian invasion, trying to support tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, marches. This road apparently used to be paved.
Это наша улица Ладос. Узнаешь? Сватовский хлеб. Вон там, где твоя школа была.
So one of the ways to think about this is not just the inconvenience that this now adds, is all of this is infrastructure cost in Ukraine, right? It's these kinds of things when you hear, Russia, Geneva is trying to hold Russia accountable for the infrastructure costs. It's not just blowing out buildings. It's the roads that they've damaged. It's, rebuilding schools. And in Ukraine's use of those. So here's a pertinent question for you guys to answer in the chat. Ukraine's use of those roads and tearing those roads up with their own tanks, their own tracked infantry fighting vehicles, damaging that stuff. Should Russia have to pay for that as well? I'm going to follow the chat on that question. That one's off the cuff. I didn't plan to ask that question. Checking in on some more of the chat while the stream catches up to the little bit of delay there. Jungle Boot, thanks for the 20. Appreciate that. John, thank you for the 1164. Stockholm, Sweden. In line to join NATO soon as chills down. Good work, team. Thanks for the 1164. Of course. Yes. Yep. Yes. Yeah. Yep. 4K camera for the stream soon. Technically, I have a 4K camera. What I ultimately would end up needing is a 4K screen. Otherwise, I'd be upscaling. Right. So I'd end up having to upscale what's already. You got to think about. Let's actually break down the equipment that I use. And over on the other stream, I actually have a command that you can go and you can check out all the different equipment that I use, which includes this stream too. I run this stream in 1080p 60. And the reason that I do that, although I have a 1440p display, A is network. I'm actually wirelessly connected from this desk. That desk is an Ethernet connection. So the first is network. The second, from a technical perspective, is when we find videos, oftentimes by the time we find it, it has been uploaded and downloaded multiple times, which continuously decreases the resolution on the videos. That is, unless we get a direct submission, which happens, more often than you'd think. So if I were to be running a 4K resolution stream, what I would need to be doing is upscaling what we're already looking at as a 480p video to 4K, and that's going to look like absolute garbage. It is. You have 3 4K screens? I want that. All right, let's move on to our next one that we've got here. All right, so somewhere in Donetsk, apparently on the Donetsk-Luhansk line, Russians were in an all-out charge. And it just doesn't go well. vehicles. Here you go. Copywritten music. Drink of choice tonight is going to be One Nation Coffee Moab, man. Sounds like you need a better upload speed to do 4K streams. No, I don't. I have gig. It's not an upload problem at all. It's equipment. I also wouldn't be very happy about my close-ups with you guys gazing into my wide open pores. Let's watch that again. Ronnie, what's this song? This is "Cross My Heart and Hope to Die" by Martin Karlberg featuring Umi. All right, coming up. Don't want to see your nose hairs either. I plucked the whitest, white as paper plate driven snow nose hair the other day. And it was one of the most depressing things I've ever done. Not only was it extremely painful, like people that pluck their nose hairs, awesome. I've broken my leg in half before. And to be honest with you, outside of just the general fear of seeing your leg do this, I would rather that happen than have to pluck nose hairs regularly. So I got the Manscapey thing. That's not an ad spot. I'm serious. It's the weed whacker. It's amazing. But it was like bleach white. Oh, man. And I almost lost it on not this haircut, but the haircut before when the lady cut it. She was like, "Oh, look at your gray patch." And I was, you don't have to point that out. You don't have to do that. Like, we could have gone on forever. I could have lived forever. And now all I can see now is it's right here. Is that gray patch. Brings tears. It sucks, man. And the missus will do it too. She's like, "Here, you got something right there." Man. All right, let's move on to our next one that we've got here. This is a Ukrainian taking Russian indirect fire near Svatove. This one's crazy. Check this out. Let's watch that first salvo come in here. See the concussion from that. Watch the walls of the trench as this happens. Oof. You can almost feel that. You can almost feel that. You know what I mean? All right, let's bring it back up. Ground shook. Yeah, it did. Junkaboot, thanks again for the $19. John, thank you for the $11.64. Agwood, thanks again for the $20. Ukraine kind of continuing to work logistics and supply lines. This time in Kreminna, there is a fuel supply point that somebody that a Russian dropped a cigarette next to, and of course Ukraine claimed victory. Shameful. There you go. Copyright music coming up. FBI, you've been bombed at Ronnie. I've been lucky. We've been mortared, but I was in hard stand. All right, coming back up. Coming back up. We've got, so that was all Kharkiv, the east, Svatove, Donetsk and Luhansk, and some just generally unknown areas of the east. And when I say the east, I mean that Kharkiv front. We're going to move into our unknown location footage here. Some of it, not this one, but the next one is going to be a little bit not safe for work, so discretion advised. You've been warned way ahead of time. I'll warn you again here in a minute. We're going to watch a Ukrainian T-64 getting struck by a loitering munition. Now, something of note here is that the hatches are open in this T-64. So it's more than likely that there's not anybody occupying it. And if there is damage to it, it's going to be on, probably some non-critical components on the outside, maybe a little bit of fragmentation, screwing stuff up on the inside. But generally speaking, I don't think that this would have had too much of an impact on the tank. Would the USA roll Russia at this point? I think so. I don't think that's just bravado either. I honestly don't. The concern would always be balancing in some way escalation beyond traditional, conventional capabilities. Ultimately, the best effect of nuclear weapons is the threat of mutually assured destruction. But I think force on force, that just would not be much of a problem after the just litany of evidence that we have here of a Russian invasion, of what should have been 101 series army stuff, military stuff. Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Like an okay college team playing against Super Bowl champions kind of deal. That'd be rough. 6 Abram tanks. What about China? I don't know. That one's a different discussion because nobody really knows for certain how China would fare in a near peer fight. China hasn't had a fight like that ever, at least not in modern times. The next one we're going to watch is not safe for work. You've been warned. We're going to watch a dude get smoked by an extremely large round of some kind. I don't know what it is. It's difficult to watch, but this is the reality of what's happening right now. The perspective here is what's interesting, right? So we're going to be watching through the lens of a drone, a Russian receive a round from a Ukrainian sniper elsewhere. A Ukrainian sniper is what was originally reported. It's a very big round, whatever it is. And you're going to have to look very close to catch it, but I'll hopefully do my best to point it out to you. Discretion advised. Right here in the center. That's where you want to be looking. One more time. I'm going to do it one more time. All right, maybe one more time. This time I'll slow it down. YouTube overlords, we think he survived. All right, coming up. That's all you get. No mas. I was always taught Russia was the top 5 military. Turns out they're not. Does this apply to China as well? All talk and no bite. Again, we don't know. We don't know. On paper, and I've talked about this a lot. I grew up believing that Russia was, believing and being told and taught that Russia was the big bad bear. It turns out they are still a bear. It's just a koala bear. It's just not overly threatening anymore. The biggest threat is the koala bear still has his boys in the back, i.e., nuclear weapons, to potentially take things to a bigger stage. You know, now with China, your guess would be as good as mine, right? From a cyber capability, I actually have quite a bit of experience on what they've got going on. They're actually very capable. Once again, a lot like Russia, they don't have the same amount of red tape that the United States does for operations in domains like cyber. But from a military perspective, you don't know what you don't know. Gummy bear? You know, so you guys might not know this, but I eat 13 gummy bears a day immediately following my workout because it has maltodextrin. I think it's dextrose, fast digesting carb. And just speaking of gummy bears, I'm going to need Haribo to start including some actual damn blue gummy bears when it says that there's going to be blue gummy bears. It can say now all 100% blue gummy bears, and I'm still getting red ones coming out of there. I'm starting to get a little frustrated with it. Haribo. Let's move on to the next one. We've got a Wagner Lancet drone. Targeting a Ukrainian self-propelled howitzer. Unknown location here. Edibles? No. No. Nope. So I eat gummy bears because they have a fast digesting carb to kind of fuel me up after my workout. And I like gummy candy. Gummy candy is the best candy. It doesn't last in my house. We've got some more Russian drone footage here. Again, unknown location here. Another loitering munition. This time, though, and the reason I wanted to show this one is it is targeting a Polish crab. Let's look up the Polish crab, and we haven't talked a lot about the crab. To Google. The AHS crab. This is another one of those 155 systems. Copy image link. Oh my goodness. Very zoom. Not so much zoom. This is another one of those 155 systems that's been provided to Ukraine. And the obvious major difference with the crab versus, the 777 is that this is a much more capable system from a mobility perspective, right? Still a very advanced and capable self-propelled artillery system. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys are welcome to correct me, and I'm a human being, so you're welcome to correct me. This would be the first video evidence of one of the crabs being targeted. Let's go watch the video. And I shouldn't have said targeted. I should have meant destroyed. lot of crabs jokes. Yeah, I should have saw that coming. I didn't see that coming. We've got a Russian tank being destroyed by precision artillery. I did record that Excalibur video. That one's going to be going to the edit table here very soon. This is a relatively short one. Then we've got a couple more to focus on, and then we're going to circle back to the main talking point for tonight, and that is Kherson. Watch a couple videos on that. Coming up. Now, I've got some non-Ukraine footage that I wanted to highlight here. The first is some of the first cartel footage I've seen in a while. You got... This is apparently only a few kilometers from the Texas border. And you've got the Gulf and Northeast cartels firing 50 cal technicals at each other. Check this out. Now, this was actually recorded by Texas Department of Public Safety, one of their drones. Got another technical here. Start that over again. Where are they shooting at each other? They're rival cartels. You've got the Gulf cartel and the Northeast cartel. Dishka better than the M2 heavy barrel? That's one of the funniest things I've seen today. Where is this? Somewhere only a few kilometers from the Texas border. Don't have an exact location, but that's what was reported. You know what caught me off guard about the Dishka? What caught me off guard is the actual trigger. Like the pull trigger. Like the first time I used it, I went to, butterfly stamp that bad boy. And you got to actually pull that one. Caught me way off guard. All right. Now, the last one I wanted to take a look at before we circle back to some of the talking points I opened the stream with is I wanted to give you guys an example, because some of y'all need it, of what it looks like to mind your f***ing business. Not safe for work. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. I don't have a location for this. But look at these guys. That can happen at any time. At any time. I didn't mean to get all serious with you guys, but the world is not okay right now, right? And whether or not we're just seeing it through a lens that we never have before, I'm not certain. I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah, my money's absolutely on somewhere in Brazil for this one. And what's amazing is these three guys, they're so normalized to it. Now, whether or not streams like this one that, ultimately bring war and conflict to the mainstream are, contributing to that, I'm not certain. But the lens that I look at this through is from a preparedness lens, right? I am not nearly prepared to be kicking back with the boys and somebody just roll up like that, right? This is, and those are the kind of companies that we are partnering with. Companies like AR500, companies that are really putting themselves out there and trying to enable the preparedness, right? I'll be doing a video for Mira Safety here soon, right? They do gas masks and stuff like that. Was this on Funker? Not yet. This is actually a find of mine. Yeah, I found this one right before the stream started. All right. Oh, wow. A lot of membership renewals came in while we were chatting there. Savage Rebel for 23 months. Let's turn some music back on. Kind of lighten it up a little bit. We still got about another 30 minutes on the stream. Savage Rebel, thanks for 23 months. Holy cow. Spongy Skate, thank you for 7 months. Matthew for 8 months. Alan Sealing for 34 months. Been a member for 34 months. Whew. Oh, man. John, Jake, thanks very much for the 7. Aaron, thank you for the 9. Nikolai for 2 months. Jared and Kathy for 2 months. GP for 2 months. Anderson for 2 months. And Matthew, thank you for the 2 months, brother. Thanks, guys. Mosen, thank you for the 9 months. Vest, don't leave home without it. Sure. Always been this bad. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, though, is in a lot of ways, the world has always been this way, right? And we're seeing it all in a way that that's never been available before. This stream, right? Now, we can use this stream to normalize it, or we can use this stream to try and understand it, to try and prepare ourselves for it, to help people see it, to understand it, to prepare for it, not to normalize it. It's all about how you internalize the stuff that we talk about. Sometimes what we watch can be comical. Sometimes it's not so much. That last video is not very comical, right? It's not. Kevlar turtle shells made to the size of a man. Think about it, armors. See, that's funny. All right, let's circle back. So at this point, everybody knows, or everybody's seen the title. You've seen the thumbnail, because it implies that Russia is retreating. And either that's propaganda and I'm being paid by the CIA, or Russia has officially announced its withdrawal, retreat, unass, faint, again. I'll tell you what it likely is. They are moving to the south to circumnavigate the globe and reinvade from the north. Russia has announced an official withdrawal from Kherson. Here is their official announcement of that withdrawal. Coming up for you guys right now.
Приступайте к отводу войск и примите все меры, чтобы обеспечить безопасную переброску личного состава, вооружения и техники за реку Днепр.
No to both? Okay.
Маневр войск будет осуществлен в ближайшие сроки.
I mean, you tell me.
Соединения части займут подготовленные в инженерном отношении оборонительные рубежи и позиции на левом берегу реки Днепр.
Приступайте к отводу войск и примите все меры.
Like they announced it. Now, whether or not, because there's something pertinent to think about here, right? We do happen to have footage of Russians retreating after this. Let me show you that before we come back up and get serious. I'll talk about it now. There is a possibility that Russia in some way is essentially setting conditions for something here. What they're doing after the announcement and over the last week or so is destroying bridges that would have theoretically hampered their ability to continue to supply their units in those areas. Were they not going to unass those locations, they would not have done that, right? Those are direct indicators of them just not wanting to be in those areas anymore, to hamper Ukraine's ability to take those areas rapidly in the exploitation phase of an offensive. Here is some actual footage, 100% real, definitely nothing otherwise, of Russia retreating.
Приступайте к отводу войск.
Есть. Маневр войск будет осуществлен в ближайшие сроки.
Приступайте к отводу войск.
Есть. Маневр войск будет осуществлен в ближайшие сроки.
Dude looks constipated. Maybe I am. I eat all of my veggies. Speaking of blowing bridges, though, I wanted to recover this stuff that we opened up the stream with today. Here are where some of those bridges are being destroyed as Russia exits. So each of these spots is on what I would consider to be a major supply route, right? You can see these yellow roads, right? MSRs. These are areas where you're going to be moving a lot of equipment. And taking those bridges out is going to slow Ukraine's ability, or theoretically would slow Ukraine's ability to backfill Russia in these areas. Let me show you a picture of one of their attempts to slow Ukraine from taking back some of that ground. I'm not making this up. I'm just showing you pictures. Showing you pictures. Here's one of those bridges right here. Definitely not going to be able to drive around that. It's going to slow them down a lot. Or at least they thought. But we did get some footage of Ukrainians crossing that bridge. You saw it here first. Just remember that. Coming up for you guys in 3 seconds.
Too late now.
Backfill Russia, that's all Ukraine. When I say backfill Russia, I mean the people, right? The Russian people that were there. I understand that's Ukraine. Don't do play on words with me. I'm not the one. If they blow the dam, it might change that. That is a concern. That as they withdraw, they end up attempting to flood and backfill their position with water, right? But Ukraine is rapidly advancing on those locations. They are moving very quickly. Is this deja vu or did I rewind this on accident? Yeah, so what I do every stream is I go back and I cover the main talking point, right? I start every stream with a couple key things to focus on, whether it be Ukraine stuff or geopolitical stuff. Excuse me. We talked about this at the very beginning of the stream. We also talked about the arrival of some senior officials from Russia in Tehran, Iran. Like Duran. One caught me off guard. So I try to recover those because remember, people continuously join this stream over the course of it being live and might not have been here to watch some of it. We also, when we have certain videos that we want to cover again, like we're about to for our partner for tonight's stream, I just go over those once more to help people catch up. I was expecting the Mac and Me clip with the wheelchair. That would have been a good one. But Ronnie, there's so much to talk about. There seems no need. Something to keep in mind. I am going to come to my defense here. There is just me preparing this stream while also doing all of my other work, right? So there's only so far in depth when Ukraine is just one of the things that I do. There's only so far down the rabbit hole that I can go to prepare each stream. I wish I could give you guys everything that you needed to know about Ukraine, about what's going on in the military news space, what's going on in the war arena across the globe. I wish I could be that sole source for you. I'm just one person, right? We have an excellent writing team that blogs a lot of the vast majority of what I cover here tonight, because again, I'm just one small part of the overarching Funker team. But this stream and the topics that we cover, it's just me putting it together. Just me. And it's still only one piece of everything that I do on the Funker platform. Ukraine received some bridge lane tanks from Germany. Well, I don't know if they're going to need it for that one. I'm pretty sure a Leda can afford that, right? Ronnie has leg day 3 times a week. No, I don't. I skipped leg day today, man. I did. I was sleepy. I just, I actually was almost going to cancel all the other stuff that I was working on today. I put a note in my channel, in the other channel's community feed, because I need a catch-up day. Tomorrow, I've got more film work to do for the TV show. I'm excited about that. It's kind of closing out one of the episodes that will hopefully, everything will hopefully launch early next year. I want to test something out here. All right, that a new feature. I was going to test it out on the other stream, but I want to test it out here. We're going to go into what this says is start a Q&A. And I don't know what that does. QA question mark? Let's see what this is. Oh, goodness. I don't know what I just did. Select a question. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what's going on. We're going to turn some music on. How are you today? Oh, I like that. Is water good? Oh, man. God, all right. How do I end it? I don't. Questions. Live chat. Let's go back to the live chat. The first question that I saw come up was, how big's your d-? And I lost it. Oh, man. Thank you guys for that laugh. Tinker Tricks, thanks for hitting the member button. Appreciate that very much. I'm going to go back to all the questions that are flowing in here in just a second. And I'll see if I can weed through them and actually field one of them. What's in your ear? These are just cheapo Amazon headphones. This is a test question. Did you get it? No, I did not. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck? Well, we'd have to know, first of all, whether or not a woodchuck could chuck wood, and then we'd be able to determine the total mass of wood that a woodchuck could chuck. What's your favorite color? A burnt orange. Like a sunset orange. I don't mean to be all romancy, but I think it's a beautiful color. Almost. I forget what company, but there's a car that has this really dark, almost a metallic orange, and it was really nice. Something, question mark. I do like this. Well, what's the appropriate length of shorts for a man? Somewhere around about these. These would be the appropriate length. Fried squid in ketchup or mayo? Neither. Yuck. Ronnie, have you shared your tats with us? I'd like to see the one peeking under your sleeve. This one here, these are wings. One of my first. They are for my sister. My sister, I grew up an only child, but, I did have a sister. She passed shortly after she was born. Best worst brown pants clip. Ooh, that one would require some thought. We have over 3,700 videos on the site. What's in the wall hacks folder? You guys just keep asking that question so you see the picture over and over again. How to properly say dinner pro. Knee pro. Do you like 410 revolvers? No. 410 revolvers are kind of a waste of having a firearm on you. Not only are you limited in capacity, but you're also limiting yourself in capability. Do you think 2023 will be a good year for us as mankind and your shorts in particular? I think 2023 is going to be an excellent year, relatively speaking, for my shorts. For mankind, that's a little bit more difficult of a question to answer. We are more divided. We're going to get a little bit serious here. We're more divided, it feels like, than we ever have been. And I don't know if that's because we actually are, or once again, that we're more connected than ever. And we're seeing the divisiveness more. But it feels more and more as though we can't agree on the simplest of things. You can't be a Republican without being a Trumper. You can't be a Democrat without receiving some form of a, personal insult. We're attacking people rather than ideas. Somebody posits an idea on a political stance, and you attack the individual rather than the idea itself with discourse and discussion. It's tough to find your way past that. It sucks. It does. Favorite MRE. My favorite MRE would probably be the either the beef stew or the old school chili mac with the actual Tabasco. They removed Tabasco from MREs. Most of you know that I'm still in. And I haven't eaten an MRE, even though I've been to the field a few times over just the last year. I'd rather starve. I prefer to have bowel movements. How long were you enlisted? I have about 16 years. About 5 years worth of that is active duty. Did you pay for that haircut? I did. Yeah, I did. I think there was a language barrier problem because I've been there many times. You guys have seen almost every haircut I've gotten since February. This time he kind of went for it, kind of sent it. 357 mare's leg. I would like to have one just to say that I had one. I don't really have a need for it, though. Most of the stuff even behind me over there has a purpose, except for the vector. I don't really have a purpose to have a single shot vector. I just wanted it. But I would love to have a mare's leg, just to have one. What's your favorite rifle that I own, or it's probably that one, my Remington 700. I like the question and answer thing. This is cool. What's your favorite concealed carry handgun? I like the SIG P365. I have a limited experience with all of the different options that are out there. I don't consider myself to be a firearms expert. I'm more of an enthusiast and even a low-scale enthusiast. I prefer the basics, the classics. I carry an MR920 or my Canik TP9. I could probably go smaller. I've thought about doing a 43X, but I'm suited just fine with my TP9 Elite Combat and my MR920. Do you play airsoft? Thoughts? No, I don't play airsoft, but I got a lot of respect for people that do play airsoft, and oftentimes the FUDs that make fun of those people that play airsoft are themselves way out of shape, and I bet you that a bunch of those FUDs, you get a bunch of those FUDs and you put them outside, and you get a bunch of airsofters and give them all airsoft guns. Those airsofters are going to roll over those dudes. Right? These folks are at least up there. They're training in some way. Some of them take it a little bit too seriously, but it's all LARP until it isn't. I think airsoft's fine. How and where did you meet your wife? I met my wife through my best friend in high school. It's his sister. He wasn't very happy about that and the way it panned out, but ultimately everything went just fine. What's the next step for the Funker 530 Empire? The biggest change for us recently has been the launch of the pro accounts, right? So that's a major thing for us because we have consistently been working towards less and less reliance on social media and big tech, more specifically. Social media will always have social media accounts, but being reliant on big tech for paying, like personally, just being able to keep the platform alive is not feasible. Based on the content that we have, we watched some videos tonight that if I were to post those on any of our Funker 530 platforms raw without any context or face type content, it would get us blackballed once again, like we are still on Facebook. Right? When we post something, it used to go to 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 people. It goes to maybe 8K now. So launching the Pro and Premium account is a way that you guys can support us, and 100% of it goes back to us, not to 30% to Google, 20% to Facebook, or however much it is now. That's been the biggest thing for us, and now it's making sure that is sustainable, that it's bug-free. That's where we are today. Now, speaking to the future, one of the things that I'm working with Funker on is we're going to get him on here at some point, and I'm actually testing this so that we can potentially do a Q&A session between he and I for you guys. Is there merch, like bumper stickers, shirts, or something? Absolutely. Exclamation point merch is where you'll find our merchandise. We work with Bunker Branding. Matt from Demolition Ranch owns Bunker Branding. Most of you guys should know that. I got the chance to meet him, touch his nipple. It was a great time. Super embarrassed about it, and I'm pretty sure he'll never talk to me again. But I'll always remember that the first time I met Demolition Ranch, I gave him one of these. It was an accident. I've told the story before. But we do have merch. We're very proud of it. And for those of you that join the Funker Premium, you guys are going to be getting a 30% merch discount code, right? There's a 10% that I'll give you now, Jamshid 10. Jamshid 10. Did you change your socks today? I put socks on for the first time right before we started the stream. Let's just put it that way. I don't typically wear socks or pants. Like, waist down is typically very little clothing. All right, let's go back to the live chat here. Looks like we're getting a little bit... Ronnie, Demo Ranch watches these vids, pal. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah. Hey, Matt. Sorry I touched your nipple, bro. Yeah. It was actually kind of funny. So I'll tell you guys this story. So what we were doing is I met up with him at last year's SHOT Show. It's been almost a whole year since then. And we were just about to launch the Bunker Branding merch line. So we were going to do some photos together. And there's actually an old video that I just never posted anywhere of he and I introducing the new merch line, where I was totally nervous, had no idea what I was doing. Well, at the end of that, I go to pat him on the shoulder. He kind of moves. I kind of move. And I missed, and my hand ended up here. And at that point, my hand's on, where his nipple is. And I kind of just went for it, You have to own it at that point. Right? You can't take that back. It's not something that you can just go back on. He was Daniel Bay. Absolutely. Absolutely. He, Mayor, wonderful people to meet. I felt privileged to get the opportunity to work with them. I got to hang out with them. They kind of let me be like a ninth wheel with all the awesome folks that I just got introduced out there and kind of thrown into the mix. A lot of really amazing people, just to put it lightly. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be just about it for. Thanks for testing out the Q&A session. I'll report back to the Canadian Overlord that the Q&A works. It's pretty cool. I like it very much. Tom, thanks for the $5. And Dragons of the Sky, thanks for the $2. I think I already answered the favorite rifle one. America's favorite Brazilian, thank you for the $5. When you get a chance, read the article from Kyiv Independence about U.S. Rep. Victoria Spartz exposing Zelensky's defense minister working for Russia. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I'm out of here. I'm going to go kick back and drink a beer and play some games or something. Maybe wallow in embarrassment for continuing to tell the story of touching Matt Carricker's nipple. It's nice to think about, though. Thanks for being here. Hit the like button and stay informed.